What's the least spoken language in the world? Sign language. What's going on, YouTube? It is no doubt that the economy right now is in all sorts of shambles, changes, and turmoil. It's gotten so bad that I had to break out Bastion because he's the only companion that I could afford to record this video with, because there's a whole lot of things going on in the economy. But today we're going to focus on how you can profit in the August Market Watch Guide. There's actually some really cool things that you can do throughout the month of August to profit. That's what we're going to break down today. And so we are going to start with a monster set that you can farm throughout this time period. Valken Scoria, dropping from City of Ash 2, is not only one of the easiest monster sets you can ever farm, it is also one of the most profitable, being worth anywhere from 2 to 6 million gold on console for the helmet, and even as much as 1 to 2 million for the shoulder. This thing is a beast to farm. And the beautiful thing about all of that is no DLC is required. So from August 5th to August 12th, you're going to be able to farm City of Ash 2 on Veteran and have a good chance to get something that's worth millions of gold. Beautiful thing too is this is one of those monster sets that just looks good and will always retain value because of it. Again, you want to make sure that you have the hard mode achievement for it. That way you have increased odds when either you are rolling your mystery coffer keys or when you are farming it on Veteran to have those increased odds. Again, you don't have to farm it every single time on Veteran. You just need the achievement, A World on Fire, which is the hard mode clear on that character to have those increased odds. This is a great farm. Let's go into our second thing. Next up, whenever you want to get those economic juices aflow, you have to ask yourself, what actually is going to be available throughout the month of August that makes it special? So that's where we're going to quickly blow through all of the lovely jubbly pieces here and how it will likely affect the economy. Now, the daily login rewards will have a really big impact because Luminous Ink is available and you can get quite a bit of it. The Luminous Ink market is definitely going to be vastly affected, but it's also going to be something you could still sell for a decent chunk of money just because Luminous Ink is still just going to be valuable. And I guarantee you it's going to be one of those resources that kind of ebbs and flows. I would equate it almost to things like RIT vouchers. You know, RIT vouchers are generally not super valuable until a new crafted set's released. Well, now, what's going to happen to Luminous Ink when more abilities are able to be utilized with them? That's right, they're going to go up in value. So it's a decent investment. I think I would probably sell it if the market shows correctly. Then we have the Portals of Oblivion. This likely will not have a super big impact on the economy unless you're farming things like Fargrave for money or Blackwood. The sets from there are probably going to go down in value just because they are farmed, which is important to note because the Warden is getting buffed, and some of the sets from Fargrave and Blackwood actually complement Wardens very well. So if you thought to yourself, I'll just sell these sets, might be a bad time to do that. Then they have this Alienware 10-year anniversary promotion. That's probably not going to be very valuable. And then we've got the Gilded Glory mini event, which from 8/8 to 8/13, you're going to get a 100% boost to gold gain from in-game activities, quest rewards, monster kills, etc. That this does not include gold made via selling to vendors. This is going to just increase the value of RITs. Now, I was originally annoyed that they were doing this, but I actually think that this is very purposeful by the developers because we are currently suffering from massive economic deflation. Now, what is the number one way you can solve deflation is you can inflate the economy. What's the best way to inflate the economy? Print more currency, baby. 100% boost to gold gain means that everyone that can do their daily writs is going to get a ton of extra gold. And if you're a brand new player and you want to go do something weird like murder civilians, or go, into public dungeon and kill Imperial soldiers for gold, you could do that as well. This is actually going to be a really good way to stimulate the economy because when I did my economic deflation breakdown, a lot of it was tied to the fact that newer and mid-game players weren't having a whole lot of their items sell, and because of that, they're not able to buy a whole lot. And when you've got people who are, the majority of the player base that aren't actively buying things, they're not going to get a lot of gold, and they're going to, kind of slow down the whole economy. So I think the Gilded Glory mini event will help solve this economic downturn, but we'll have to see. Then we've got some NVIDIA stuff. We've got some QuakeCon live streams, charity events. None of that's really going to do a whole lot. We'll have the Xbox Game Pass stuff, but honestly, even the stuff that comes from that is basically just glorified login rewards. Battleground Crazy King mini event. Hot take, I think that that is actually the easiest event in Battlegrounds game mode to actually just complete very quickly. If you just play the objective, you can pretty much ignore the PvP almost, and just by the end of the game, just take all the objectives while everyone fights each other. Then we have the base game 43 update. Now, what's going to change from there is I think furniture is going to increase in value, especially on console, because console players have kind of not had any sort of real housing event. Housing tournaments aren't as common on console just because of how logistically complicated they could be without add-ons, and now it's going to be coming to them. So I think Mundane Runes, Heartwood, and all the style materials are going to see an uptick in value, but I don't know how it's going to impact PC. I think it will be to a lesser extent, but I think it will still have an impact and raise the value of those items. Then we have Gamescom 2024, which hopefully they tell us what's going to be our Q4 update. I mean, it will technically be afterwards, so maybe they'll give us some juicy details, but that's where that piece of this economic page ends. Let's talk about the next piece of information, and that is what is currently selling and why, and how you can profit off of this market turmoil effectively. So, you'll notice that people are buying things like Sigic Ambrosius. That's just a pretty common thing to purchase. But notice too that a lot of people are actually buying motif pages for cheap rates too. I think a lot of people are getting rid of them at lower rates just to get any sort of gold value. So this is actually a really good time to grab those up. You can see companion stuff's being sold. We will get new companions in Q4. Not that that's necessarily something that you really want to be gauging this early on. And then you can see pretty generic sets that are just generally popular. We saw Mother Sorrow. We've seen some of the other one, War Maiden, popular set. And this is what I wanted to kind of explain. You see a Briarheart sale. Not a whole lot of experimental sets are selling. What's an experimental set? An experimental set are things that when the economy is in full swing, people buy to either fill out their sticker books, be a completionist, try out little goofy-ass builds. Like Thunderbug, to me, is a perfect example of a set. You block and you just shock people around you. Is it good? No. Is it fun? A little bit. Is it something that people just kind of, sometimes want to use just to be a little weird? Yeah. In the economy that we have right now, items like that are not selling. Only probably the top 5 best sets in a specific thing, whether it's PvP Wardens, PvP Sorcerers, PvE Sorcerers, arena sets or arena builds, crafted sets that people are suggesting. Those are really the only things that are selling right now. There's a couple reasons for that. One, obviously, the deflation of the economy. People have less gold. They're not going to be splooging right now because why would they? The whole economy is kind of slowing down a little bit, kind of grinding to a halt. The 14-day trader thing, too, means that people really don't want to experiment with just throwing things up on the market and hoping that they sell, because that could be quite a bit of loss for them if it doesn't sell. It also holds guild trader space that they just don't want to have done. Another big important factor in all of this, too, is the next event is going to be the Undaunted Celebration event. And unfortunately, the Undaunted Celebration event doesn't really stimulate the economy in the same way that events like Midyear Mayhem does. I think a lot of the deflation of the economy has actually been halted by Midyear Mayhem. Why is that? And that's because people still need stuff for Midyear Mayhem. They need consumables. If you're playing right now, you can still sell torts, you can sell consumables, whether it's buff food, whether it's XP potions, whether it's tri-stat potions, whether it's heroism ingredients. That way people can go out there and they can smack people to death. Another great thing too, we've seen sell a couple times on here as we've scrolled through, is that people are still buying things such as PvP sets because, well, there's a PvP event active. The problem with the Undaunted Celebration event is it doesn't add anything extra juicy and special. There's no, oh my gosh, I have to go wear this best in slot set, because realistically, the number one way to farm the Undaunted Celebration event is to farm Fungal Grotto and speedrun it. This may shock all of you watching right now, but you don't need a special set to speedrun Fungal Grotto. I would wager you could punch the stuff in there and be fully naked. Important things to note, though, too, is that even with everybody and their mom getting bajillions of AP right now and getting those good reward boxes, people are still buying prismatic defense runes. And I just want to equate that to something that I think a lot of people sometimes may forget. and that is the rule of easy. A lot of people, you'd be surprised, are not maxed out enchanters, so they might not have access to put a Hajaku rune and a Kuda rune together, so they might just say, I'm still going to buy it, because it's easier to them. It's still more convenient than having to combine these pieces together, even if they have partially some of those pieces. So don't think that just because everybody is getting tons of them, that they still don't sell, because we saw some earlier sell for 25,000. These are listed for 19. This is pretty much the majority of their value, regardless of what time period of the year we're in. And you can see this guy that listed them for under 19,000. Some dude bought them all up. Also, too, great time to continue to offload all those style pages that you're getting from this event. You should be getting at minimum 1 per day. Make sure that you are offloading those and selling them, because people are also using the Bags of Glory to manipulate getting good items. So, to do that, they need to have all the old cheap stuff bound to them, which means that you can still sell some of the old cheap stuff for a couple thousand. And if you're like me and you're holding on to 5 to 10 of them, that's still, a good chunk of change just lying around. Some things that I would consider avoiding are continue to kind of avoid raw materials, because when the Gilded Glory event starts, what's going to happen? Everybody's going to go out, do their daily writs, regardless if they're a new player, a returning player, an old player. And it's going to continue that grind of everybody's going to have tons of raw materials, which is usually a problem, because normally you want new players grinding raw materials to sell to endgame players. And those new players, they buy from mid-game players who just need to sell stuff, to get more money so that they can become an endgame player. And it just creates the cycle of life, like all the snakes eating each other on that little Osboro thing. That's the perfect economic form for us to all be in. The problem is that we've had so many events that have pushed free raw materials on us that people don't need to buy them. And I think that when we get to the Gilded Glory event, we're going to have that same problem resurface. Right now, we put a plug on it almost, because everybody's like, oh, I want to gold out my PvP set. But after this event, you're not going to need to gold out a PvE set for the Undaunted Celebration event. You're not going to need to do it for the Halloween event. You're not going to need to do it, for the New Life event. You're not going to need to gold out your sets for a while. Even with these patch changes in Update 43, some classes are getting buffed, but there's really no huge set buffs, and that's what's important, because a lot of people are not going to make brand new wardens. They're just going to slap their ward that they had together, give them a kiss on, the cheek, and then send them out into battle again. That's all that's going to happen. So I would be a little bit worried if you had a lot of your stuff and time invested in raw materials. Just utilize those to get writ books, and utilize it to just get straight gold. Get 10,000 gold per character, which is a lot, especially if you play on console. That is some good quest reward turn-ins, and I'll do a dedicated Gilded Glory event. That way I can talk about all of the most effective ways that you can farm that event, especially if you're a new player, because if you are a new player, that's a great time to get a bunch of gold for free without having to worry about guild traders, selling to merchants, or trying to do any of that weird fun stuff. And to wrap us up here, this is my trader list, which is a great place to find all of the items that sell decently well. I want to say that this month, I think after the Gilded Glory event, is going to have a resurgence in being able to sell things such as all of the major sets that we kind of see here inside of this example. When it comes to Overland non-DLC sets, a lot of these are okay, but I think a lot of what's going to really be good is when we start looking at things such as the DLC ones, because these are going to kind of go back up into the popularity that they deserve. I would avoid, though, the ones that come from the Deadlands and any that come from Blackwood, just because it's going to be so heavily farmed. But regardless, the rest of these are still probably going to see the resurgence that they deserve, especially ones I would note like Briarheart. I think is just going to go up in value. I've seen Black Alley Gourmand selling significantly well again. The biggest downturn, again, is just because of the economy that we find ourselves in. We also do need to remember that Q4 is going to be a PvP update. And there's a very real possibility that once we figure out what it is, people might start buying sets that kind of are curtailed to that. And they likely will be the more popular PvP sets that we've seen all throughout time. Pretty much, generic ones like Pariah will probably do very well again, just because it's been good since it's been released, so why wouldn't it be good again? And then we might see some experimental sets that might be good because, let's say it's a dueling arena, well, we're going to probably have sets that are really specific to 1v1 fights, versus 1vx fights. We will have to obviously wait to see what that is, but definitely reference the trader list inside of the Discord because it's a great place to find all the things that will sell. Right now, because Mid-Year Mayhem still in full swing, baby. Got another week of it. The consumable market is still cracked. Continue to profit off the consumable market, especially if you're selling torts. And don't just sell them on the open market. You can go into a capped campaign and offer to sell your war torts in between fights. And you can mail them to people as well. And you can make a decent chunk of extra money. It's like selling a bottle of water, at a street vendor outside versus selling it at an airport versus just getting it out of the tap. Sometimes it's just location. So it's the same with those war torts and consumables. I've seen tons of people put in guild chat, could somebody cod me some bewitched sugar skulls, please? Same concept. But everyone, thank you guys so much again for watching. As always, this has been our Market Watch Guide, how to profit in the month of August, because August is really a very pivotal point in the economy, and I can see so many things happening. We've got a housing update that may or may not do a lot. We've got Undaunted celebration event at the beginning of next month, which guaranteed won't do a whole lot. We've got Gilded Glory, hopefully, which will give us a nice economic stimulation. We've got bajillions of Telvar and Alliance points that are going to flood the open market. And as always, we do have a video resource that I'll put in the description where we break down how to convert all of your currencies to gold. That'll be just as good during this time period versus any, because as we've shown with the Jakku rune, sometimes people, just want to do what's easiest, and they'll still buy it off the market versus going out and get it themselves. So, thank you guys so much again for watching. As always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you have to do to enter is leave a comment in the comments below. It can be anything as long as it's not removed by YouTube. Second thing is just be subscribed on YouTube / follow on Twitch and Twitter. And the third thing is look for a hidden word to be flashed upon the screen. And if you're the first person to comment that word, you will win. Thank you guys again, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.